a guy with a 70s style haircut, and yeah, give it a click.
Yeah, that's it. With a 70s haircut and some glasses on, and
just a
having a whinge, really, yeah.
That's right. Yeah, just a warning. There's a bit of explicit language, but but it's worth it. Yeah,
like that, you know, they haven't really got much patience. So,
that's right.
And obviously, the truck doesn't need to go for lunch, doesn't need to go to the toilet, and it just pulls into the fuel bay when it needs fuel, and yeah, it does it all automatically. So I think we're going to see more.
Welcome to this week's episode of Fit for Fifo, episode 27. This week we've got Michael, the English Earthmover. Thanks for coming on the show, Michael.
Yeah, no worries. Thanks, Abby.
First, where can our watchers or listeners find you? Just on Instagram?
Just on Instagram, yeah. That's the only sort of platform I'm on publicly.
Yep.
I've got a name tag of the English Earthmover with like an underscore between those words.
Yep. So that's...
if you put it in the search function, you'd find me somewhere.
Yep.
So yeah, that's me really.
Cool.
Just posting up pictures of machines and stuff what I get up to at work. So yeah.
Yep. Cool. And for those of you who are following us, you can find us on Spotify. We're now on iTunes, YouTube, and Instagram. So yeah, check us out on there. So first, we'll jump straight into talk about what you do in the FIFO and heavy industry, mate.
So I operate a range of heavy earthmoving equipment on a range of different sites I've worked off in the past. I'm not so much involved in the production mining of the ore. I'm mostly involved in the support side of a mine site. So if there's an expansion project or building new tailings dams or haul roads or drainage or all the stuff that keeps the mine site working. So that's the sort of projects I've been involved in the past.
Yep. And what sort of machinery exactly are you operating, mate?
In the past, I've been lucky to sort of operate most things, on site, from bobcats to bulldozers, graders, loaders, excavators. Currently, at the moment, I'm mostly focused on various different excavators at the moment. So, I've just sort of been around the ball. I've got all the tickets for them all. So, it's good. It gives me a lot of variety at times. So, I do enjoy it.
Yep, and you have a balance of working just out of Perth, and also you do a bit of FIFO, different projects here and there. Is that how it works, did you say?
Yeah, that's kind of how it works. Obviously, I work for a civil construction contractor, and we're engaged in working away when required for different projects. But I mean, they also have their work locally in Perth, so I sort of go between the two as and when required, really.
Yep. So for those of you guys who haven't actually been to Michael's Instagram profile, he's got a lot of different machines that he posts up. I think you were telling me you've been taking photos for many years, Michael, is that correct?
Yeah, well, I've been operating machines now for probably 10 years or more, and I've always sort of, taken photos of what I've been up to, or the machines I've been operating, or other machines I've seen on site, which are an interest to me. So I've got an extensive sort of back catalogue or an archive which I can sort of call upon and to keep my Instagram feed a bit fresh, sort of put different stuff on a few years ago, and different types of machines, different brands. That's what I kind of do, really. So
yeah. And so there's some really great pictures and big machines. So what's the biggest machine that you sort of operate?
In the past, I've been operating a big D11 Caterpillar dozers. So that's one of the biggest dozer Caterpillar produce. I think they weigh in at about 115 tonne.
Okay.
And then for excavator-wise, I've been operating like a 120 tonners. Which are big enough in a civil or bulk earthworks environment, but as for mining, they're kind of like the baby excavators of the big production mining world as such. So, but still decent enough size,
Yep.
So yeah.
And for those who aren't aware of sort of weight or tonnage, to get a comprehension of the size of these things, how many cars would you say this one of these 120 tonne excavators would sort of be equivalent to?
It's hard to say, but I think your average sort of family car is probably going to be around, I don't know, maybe 900 to ton. I'm not sure really. I know my utility is around 2 tons, so I don't know. We'll say around a ton. So you could say it was 120 cars, for example. But like I said before, it's there's a lot more massive equipment out there than that. Right up to around, like you can get some excavators and hydraulic face shovels now, 800 to 1,000 tons. So I mean, like I say, this is the stuff I've managed to have a chance to have a go on. It's kind of the small scale of the big mining world of equipment.
Holy that's yeah, they're massive. So you must be talking like big money on these really big machines, these 800-ton excavators and stuff.
Yeah, was it big money to buy them or big money to drive them?
Well, I suppose everything about them.
No, everything about it is huge. The cost to buy them in the first place, the cost to even ship them up to, well, not ship them, but to dismantle them and then transport them to site on a range of trucks, and earning about that is big bucks. But I mean, at the end of the day, they're earning big money because of the amount of dirt they can shift so quickly, So it's all about making money. So bigger machine, you can do it quicker and move more dirt, and so that's what it's all about for mining.
Yeah, right. Now, besides your JHAs and Take 5 cards, what's your biggest challenge being an operator?
Being an operator is biggest challenge, I would say, is especially in a civil construction environment, is other people on the ground and other machines in close proximity. I mean, you do have these safety things in place, such as like a 20-meter rule where machines can't really enter another machine's space or slew zone as such. But from time to time they'll get breached, and you just got to be on your nerve to see who's around you, especially light vehicles, 4x4 drives driving around, or even you got surveyors going around checking grades on the sites. But so I'd say that's what probably my point issue is to stay safe and not have any incidents regarding other machines, or if there was someone on the ground involved, it's probably be fatal then. So
yeah, right.
Yeah, a lot to think about at times, but
you
just got to be safe. Really, there's a lot of rules in place to prevent that sort of stuff from happening there, but you still got to be on your guard.
Yeah, of course. And if you sort of were considered to breach one of these rules, like if you did have like a near miss or something, is that sort of like a job limiting situation, or does it go further than that?
Like if there's a near miss, there's usually an investigation done by the safety department.
Yeah.
They will sort of stop time as such, if you know what I mean, sort of freeze time, take photographs and measure what's happened, and sort of interview both parties involved and check if all the paperwork's been signed by yourself, and then interview you to see if you understand what JHA you're working under and what's required of the role and what you're doing. And if there is something that happens, there's quite a thorough investigation, and then it's then released to everyone else in the workforce then, and then about a week's time. And I think across Australia, I know many mine sites will have like a safety bulletin of another mine site, say in the eastern states, where LB's been run over by a dump truck, or and you get to hear about why it happened and what was learned and what have you. So that's what happened.
Have you experienced or heard of any like significant sort of incidents that have happened around that?
Not major significant. I mean, I've been on loads of sites where dump trucks have rolled over and stuff like that's happened, but yeah, I've never personally been there where someone's really got significantly hurt. I mean, people have injured, cut themselves and crushed their fingers and what have you, but luckily I haven't been involved or had a close workmate of mine injured or hurt. Yeah. So
that's good. Yeah. But see, you often see photos of dump trucks on their lid, like upside down. Is that sort of quite a common thing? And is it like for the driver, they're quite safe for that to happen, like engineering wise?
There's kind of two types of dump trucks. You got your articulated type dump truck, which have a pivot behind the cab.
Yep.
Then you have your rigid dump trucks, which are generally used in mining and quarries and what have you. Like the articulated ones, which are generally 6-wheel drive, you'll see on any road project or construction project around the metro area. They have a tendency to roll over if the operator's not really clued on about where he's taking the truck, or if they're going to reverse to an area which is unstable. Once they obviously lift the skip up to tip off the load, and if it's on unsuitable ground, then yeah, they're tempting to roll over. Whereas rigid trucks, I mean, they're typically dumping off on, say, either a crusher or a big tip head. The tip head's basically just basic terms, it's just a basic big hill, and they're just dumping off the edge of this hill. And yeah, if they're not careful, they could reverse up to the edge and potentially reverse off the edge, or what have you, or maybe speeding. They could roll one over, but so yeah.
You'd be up for a few cartons then if you rolled one of those, wouldn't you?
I'd say so, and potentially get a window seat home if you're working away.
Yeah, right. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Now, how much of a issue do you find like back pain and back injuries are from being an operator sitting in that hunched over position, and I suppose the vibration, and what's the common cause of it?
Yeah, it can be an issue just stuck in a machine all day. I'd like to get out and have a bit of a wander around my machine and check the surroundings on the ground if possible throughout the day. I could smoke at lunchtime and then in the afternoon. One machine in particular will bug your back up, which is a bulldozer when you're ripping hard rock. Personally, in the past, I was on a large Caterpillar tractors, D10s, D11s, and you're ripping rock. And when you're ripping rock, you're kind of in the seat, sort of twisted around. You're looking out the back window of the tractor, and you sort of engage in the controls on your right-hand side to move the shank up and down, the ripper shank, to engage the rock. And also then you're looking forward to the direction you're travelling with the bulldozer. And obviously when you're ripping rock, it's really rough going on the machine. The machine's jumping around, bouncing around the place, and it could really send some shockwaves up your back, which you're not expecting. So yeah, I've had a bit of lower back damage in the past from that, because you're twisting around, you're looking out the back window, and all of a sudden the machine will just drop down because you're on a rock, or you're on rocks. And yeah, that could be an issue at times. I remember some other guys used to wear some sort of like a weightlifter belt, sort of around their stomach to sort of hold their back in. But,
yeah, right.
If we're engaged in that type of work, but yeah, that's a bit of a not a nice thing to do, is to fuck your back up at work, So,
yeah, for sure. And
doing that sort of work.
do you find that they're improving the machinery and equipment, and they focus a lot on that these days, or is it sort of all pretty standard and hasn't changed too much?
Well, like when you're ripping rock in a bulldozer, it is what it is. It's just hard going. The reason why I was doing it back then is the client we were working for didn't want to pay any money for drill and blast. So they didn't want to drill the hard rock and blast it out. Mm-hmm. So they got a couple of us in big dozers to try and rip it out, and it just it really tore us apart as operators and destroyed the machine in the process. But this is the way it went down, really, at the end of the day. You're always going to find it difficult on your body if you're engaged in ripping rock all day on a bulldozer. But yeah, if you're sat in an excavator loading dump trucks, or you're on a grader trimming off the road, then that's a lot more easier going on your body. I would say. So it's just different machines. Just treat you differently, really.
Yeah. And does it help to do like some little mobility exercises through the day, like little stretches and stand up when you've got the chance, or if you've got the chance?
Yeah, I like to get out and reset my back. Just sort of stretch forward and reach down, touch my toes, and just sort of get out and have a good stretch now and again. I do enjoy the stretches in the morning, which will typically get on site now on a lot of sites. A lot of people whinge at that and they think they're a load of rubbish, but it does warm you up a little bit and just stretches out any muscles which you haven't previously done that morning.
Yeah, gotcha.
So I try and do a few, not the full exercise, but try and just do a couple of stretches throughout the day. Try and keep yourself flexible and not sort of all curled over and hunched over in a machine,
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think it's important in every sort of trade that you try and break away from that sort of whatever posture you're in. Like trying to break it up a bit, because I think every trade has their own little shit posture that they get themselves into that they need to break every so often. So yeah.
Yeah.
Mate, so you're originally from the UK. You said you've been out in Australia for about near on 6 years now.
That's right, yeah.
Talking about that. So, your experience. Can you share your experience of coming over to Australia?
Yeah, well, I was working in the UK, and with the global financial crisis on, it was just bugger all work around, and you're just earning enough money just to keep you ticking over, not to earn any. You couldn't dream of saving up, buying a new car or going on holiday. You just hardly any work around, hardly any money, So yeah, I just had enough, and I thought, right, let's get out of here and try Australia. I just thought I would come here for 1 year because I had a 1 year backpacker visa. I thought I was just screwed there for 1 year. So sold whatever I had, which is any values, had a car and a motorbike and quad bike and that. And then off I come. Then got my visa and come over here, and got work straight away on a small little bulldozer on a industrial subdivision, and within a week I think it was. I was real lucky, but so I was there pushing away and got some of the lads there on site, and everyone's got these talks about working up north. Obviously we're based in Perth, and everyone's on about working up north. And I was up north, I was on this site, and I was like, bloody hell, I didn't even know about all these mine sites, didn't know about flying fly out. I sort of heard about all the big mines over here, but I just never really figured. I don't know. I just didn't research it. I didn't know anything about it. Didn't know where they were. Mm-hmm. I assumed you'd have to live locally. I didn't realise you could fly to work. So I quickly got educated on the fact of what happened today, and he flew away to site and what have you. So I got applying online, and I just got a couple of interviews straight away. And before I knew it, I was having a medical, and I was packed my bags and flying up north, shucked straight into a 4-in-1 roster on a big tailings dam project up on an iron ore mine, and there it was. It was stinking hot, and I'd only been in the country for 3 months or more, and straight into it. And so it was a big change from the UK for that, especially working non-stop for 4 weeks, although we had one RDO in the middle there, maybe two, I can't remember. Yeah. But it's a big difference.
Right. And what's some of the more significant things you can recall in terms of difference in culture or lifestyle that really jumped out at you when you first arrived?
Well, I mean, the culture and the lifestyle of Australia is a lot different to the UK. It's a very outdoor lifestyle with obviously the weather has a big part of that. Mm-hmm. So obviously that's a big draw card for myself coming over here, and all the other English and Irish people coming over here to work, start a new life. So that was a big draw card to come here. That's for fitting in with the workforce and people here. I mean, we do things a lot differently to back at home. I mean, if you're not aware, Perth is home to a lot of sand. All the ground around Perth is sand. And when I first came over here, I'd never worked with sand before. And they're building roads with sand, building big industrial subdivisions with sand. And I was thinking to myself, this is going to work. They're using sand. And because we don't have sand in the middle, in where I'm from, it's all heavy red clay. Yeah, right. And it was all different to start working with sand again. Never worked with sand, so coming from an earthmoving background, it took a bit to adapt to how they do things over here and how they build roads and what have you. So that took a bit of head scratching to get my head around that.
Right, and how does that change your job as an operator, working with sand as opposed to red clay that you had mentioned?
Yeah, well, say for example you're digging a trench for a pipeline or drainage. Obviously sand it just keeps collapsing in. So you've got to dig it out a lot wider. You've got to either batter the sides down to make them safe, or if you're getting that real deep, you've got to use what we call a trench box, which is basically two big steel sheets connected together, and that sort of sits in your excavation to stop the sides falling in, and then the guys installing the pipes can work safely without getting crushed to death or what have you. But like in the UK, you can, especially where I'm from, you can dig to your heart's content all day and have a nice clay open trench, and not everything's firm and hard, and nothing's going to fall in and collapse. And
right.
So that was a lot different. I know other parts of Australia don't really have the sand, but Perth is known for having all this sandy ground,
Yeah, right.
So that was a lot different to home.
Yeah, okay. And is that when you're applying for a job, is this like do they ask you if you've worked with sand before? Because it sounds like it's quite significantly different.
No, they never asked. It's, at the end of the day, you can pick it up pretty easy with sand. You basically got to wet it up, and then roll it off, and it goes off. I was so surprised it goes off pretty hard.
Yeah, right.
No wonder they make all the roads ready with sand, or build them all up. But so yeah, that's basically it. Just one ingredient, add water, and then roll it off.
Yeah, right.
So you can get your head around it relatively quickly. It's just took a bit of getting used to, you know.
Yeah, yeah. Be like when you learnt to ride a bike, eh? The sandbox when you're a young fella.
yeah, that's it really. But yeah, like I said, it was when I didn't know it was all sand around here, so it was just quite unusual for myself.
Yeah.
No doubt other people as well from UK and Ireland would have thought the same, you know.
Yep, yep. Can you explain to us who the angry Aussie Earthmover is?
So yeah, that guy, yeah, you don't want to be working with him. So he is the sort of character I sort of made up on my Instagram page, and it initially come from, I've got a Snapchat account, but I've only got a few personal friends on there, some workmates. Yeah. And there was a filter on there, and I put a filter on my face and sort of had a bit of a rant and sent it off to a few people, and everyone found it hilarious, and I had a few come back to me, and it just went on all day, and it was just, it was a real piss take really, and I started, I just saved a few of them then, and I stitched them all together, and thought, maybe I'll share it to Instagram really, and it's just a massive hit, and I've had no end of people, private message me asking for more, and loads of comments, and so basically he's like an angry older guy who's worked in the industry all his life, and has no time for the new generation or in the workforce, and expects everyone to have the same amount of knowledge as him. So it's basically him just ranting on about the good old days and back when he was younger and how it used to be done. So it's just a series of little clips and videos stitched together, and just having a bit of a laugh, really.
Yeah. I think you definitely nailed the stereotype on the head with those. There, for those of you who, if you're unsure of what we're talking about or you want a good laugh, just jump over to Michael's Instagram page and check him out. Just scroll down, you'll see a guy with a 70s style haircut, and give it a click.
Yeah, one with a 70s haircut and some glasses on, and
just a
bit of out of wind, really. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, just a warning. There's a bit of explicit language. But it's worth it. Yeah,
a lot of that. They haven't really got much patience. So,
that's right.
I've worked with a lot of them in the past. Some of them are right. Some of them, once you get to know them for a little while, and they know that you can, operate machinery. They have a little bit more respect for you then. But some of them are just awkward as hell and don't want to allow on anything, but that's just the way they are. And, you're not just in Earthmoving. No doubt you get them in every sort of trade,
Yeah, you definitely do, mate. I've worked with them.
It is, really.
Exactly. Michael, can I put you on the spot and ask you for one of the phrases that you go into character for me?
Oh, really? Oh, it could be a bit explicit language there.
Yeah, go on. I'll beep it out.
Okay. You back again? Stone holy days. That's all right, really.
Yeah, that was the one about the ashtray. That was a cracker.
Oh, about as much use as a fucking ashtray on a motorbike.
Yeah, that's it. Thanks.
I just those type of sayings for the old guy. Really, I don't really have. I've got a bit of a bad throat at the moment. I can't do this sort of accent, but
the raspy voice.
On in the video.
Yeah,
it's just a real loud rant. Really.
Yeah, no, that's great, mate. Just moving on from that. So, at the end of December last year on your Instagram, you announced some pretty exciting news for yourself and your partner. So, can you tell us a bit about that and changes you expect in the future?
Yeah, so I met my Australian girlfriend obviously over here. She's from Perth, and we're introducing a baby boy in early May time. So it's going to be a big change for both of our lives, of course. So look out, sleepless nights ahead.
Yeah, for sure. Well, congratulations with that, mate. That's great.
Thanks.
With Fifo, so obviously you were saying that you do a bit of it, but you also work local. What changes do you feel might come, and how do you actually feel about, at this stage, possibly working away when you've got a young fella?
I know it's going to be tough, but I mean I'm not the first bloke and I'm not the last person to work away with a young family. So look, I'm going to give it a go in June time. I think my employer then he says there's some work coming up then which could suit me to slip into working away. So look, I'll give it a go. It's going to be a 2-in-1 roster, so yeah, we'll see how that goes. Really, hopefully it's going to be alright. But I mean at the same time, me and my girlfriend want to obviously get our feet on the housing ladder, so we need to get some money up together for a house deposit. So what with any one income coming in, just kind of have to grin and bear it, really, try and earn some money to try and get ourselves a house next year, you know. So yeah, it's going to be a bit of a sacrifice. I'm missing out on a few things, but hopefully in the long run it's all worth it, you know.
Yeah. You did say something when we were talking earlier on the phone. You did say something that stood out to me, and I think it's quite important. You said about if it's not working, you'd be prepared just to come back to living and working just locally.
Yeah, my employer has work both locally and away, so I'll, you know, obviously give it a go. If it's not going to work out, and my girlfriend's not coping, or you know, myself, I'm not coping, you know, missing out on seeing the little one, then yeah, I'm off to knock it on the head and work locally. There's just quite a lot of local road construction work and earth moving around Perth. Obviously the money is not the same, but it's enough to keep you out of trouble, and just have to do that for a while and go from there really, and reevaluate later on. So that's something we'll give it a go, and if it's not going to work out, then we'll just have to stop it.
Yeah. Now, thinking about bringing a young fella into the world, with your experience of working in Fifo and operating, would you encourage your son to follow the same path as what you have?
Well, I reckon my girlfriend will have a big say in that, and say a big fat no. She'll probably want him to do the proper job. But, I don't know, I mean, in 18 years' time, if he's going to be joining the workforce then, I mean, who knows what will happen then. I mean, there'll probably half the machines out there will be operated by robots, or, so who knows, I mean, who knows what the future holds for our industry. I think we're going to see a lot more autonomous machines, and a lot more automatic grading machines. So will require less people to do what's required today. So may not be a job for him in that field.
Right.
In the future. Who knows?
Yeah, right. You just created the perfect segue into my next topic, mate. So thanks for that. The future of excavation and earthmoving. To start off, I suppose, what right now, currently, what's the most futuristic equipment that you sort of can think about off the top of your head?
Well, on top of my head, I mean, you've got the autonomous dump trucks in the big mines at the moment. They're obviously, there's no one driving them, they just do their own thing. Well, their own thing, that'd be bad, but they're programmed to go to a shovel or an excavator or whatever, you get loaded, dump their load off, or the crusher or the waste dump or whatever, you just do that all day without a drama.
Yep.
And obviously the truck doesn't need to go for lunch, doesn't need to go to the toilet, and it just pulls into the fuel bay when it needs fuel, and it does it all automatically. So I think we're going to see more of that. That's pretty impressive at the moment. I think we're going to see that filter into different type of equipment in the future. I reckon you're probably going to get, I know there's already remote control bulldozers out there, but I think you may see automatic bulldozers or maybe automatic motor graders in the future, maybe just whizzing around the mine, just making the roads smooth and tidy for the dump trucks. Who knows? I mean, it's going to take a lot of sensors and a lot of electronics to get those to work, and typically when they go wrong big time. But I think that's it's probably going to happen, in the future.
Right. Now, when you say automated dump trucks, are they like working off a mapped out program, or is there someone actually controlling them?
So what they generally do with them, I mean, I haven't worked with them myself, but I obviously have a keen interest in the industry and pretty much know that they have a route mapped out for them,
right,
to suit that shift. So they'll travel to wherever they got to go. I think there's a lot of sensors and waypoints on the haul roads where they can. Obviously, also they're filled with a lot of cameras, so they can sort of see if there's any other vehicles in the area, and also they have a network, so they can see if there's any sort of like a backlog of other dump trucks if there's a queue as such, and then they obviously won't get close to other machinery in the area. They'll sort of keep their own distance. So
Yeah, right.
I think that's how they sort of work at the moment. There's a command centre, I believe, Perth for most of the ones which are working autonomous, and just a handful of people then are running like large fleets, and we'll set them up.
So
on their own, yeah.
They're being monitored from Perth, and the actual trucks themselves. Whereabouts are they located?
Oh, they'd be up in the Pilbara, yeah. So Perth to the Pilbara is about an hour and a half flight away. So they'll be monitored up there via satellite or what have you. And I think that's how it kind of works.
Wow.
So, yeah.
That's pretty incredible, isn't it? And you sort of start to wonder.
Happening right now, and obviously there's a big hoo-ha in the industry because obviously a lot of dump truck drivers are losing their jobs for that.
Right.
So that's just the way it's going to go, really.
Yeah, right. And you'd think there must be a security threat almost if, it's all sort of wireless, like if people could sort of, I don't know, hack that or take over in some way. I wonder if that's something that I'm sure they've thought about it, but it'd be high on the agenda, I suppose.
Yeah. I mean, you never know. You could get some terrorists hacking in and programming all the dump trucks to drive out of the mine and down to Perth. I don't know. I mean, it could be a possibility, but who knows? Doubtful.
Yeah.
Then obviously security in place to prevent that from happening.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's so that's already been happening for a few years now. Autonomous trucks. So,
right.
Like I say, I reckon it'll filter down to other types of equipment in the future.
Right, nice. All right, mate, I've got a few final questions for you. Now, knowing what you know now, I'm going back to before you came to Oz. What advice would you give your past self in regards to the transition, working in Fifo and just Australia in general?
There'd be a pig at the dessert bar. Because when I come away for the first time, and there was all these nice little caramel slices and muffins and cookies, and you're just like, wow, these are just delicious, or one or two on here, and you just, before you know it, you're heading back to Perth, and you've got a bit of a muffin top going on then on your chef top, and that's the advice I would be, just take it easy on the food, I don't go on a piss every night.
Right.
Downward spiral you want to be on. So,
And what about just the transition, like any advice for leaving home or the UK, like coming over here? Any advice just in regards to the transition?
I'm not sure I'd put that into words, really, because it's such a different culture and a different country and a different way of working, like it's unheard of when I spoke to friends and family, and I was like, I'm getting on a plane now to fly to work, and it's like, all right, well, where are you going? I was like, I'm still within WA, and it's like an hour and a half flight, whereas, you fly an hour and a half from the UK, and you'd be touching down in the middle of Europe somewhere, so it's, for people to get that into their mind from home, it's a lot for them to take in, because they go far away on them working, and how long I'm there for, and my parents are just like, they just can't get their head around, how can you stay away for 2 weeks, far too long, or even longer, and I'm just like, well, you do it for the money, and not forgetting you get a full week off when you're back, which you get a few things done, but obviously it's never long enough for your time off. You always want a few more days.
Yep.
So I don't know, it's hard to really sort of explain to someone from UK about what this lifestyle is about, working away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
For me, it wasn't as bad because I come to Australia on my own. I didn't come with friends. I didn't know anyone in Perth, so working away, I wasn't generally missing friends and family because they were already in the UK anyway, the other side of the world. So for me, it's just to jump on a plane and go to work away. It was kind of no different, really.
Yeah, right.
To start with,
Yep. Right. So next question, mate. Could you share with us a failure that has set you up for later success?
Failure for later success? Oh, God.
Small or large, like, could be either or.
Bloody hell. I don't know, really. I think.
Anything in regards to maybe getting? What about getting like jobs, positions? Like, has there been anything you've sort of think you would have changed next time to get a job or something like that?
I'm sorry, you kind of put me on the spot.
That's
I
all
can't
right.
really think of any sort of major failures.
Yeah, that's
I've had
fine.
issues in the past, but you just sort of overcome them and sort of move on, you know.
Yeah, no
I
drama. Can't
think of any. Yeah, sorry.
That's all right. We'll come back to that if you think of something. Just yell out. There's another one. There's a couple more that might put you on the spot, but we can always pass and come back to them. We'll move on. That's fine. So in the crib hut, some bad advice that you always hear, except it can't be buy Bitcoin. That's the only one you can't say.
Bad advice you hear in the crib hut.
Yeah.
Well, the crib hut is full of the rumour mill of any side.
Right.
It's always talking about the next job. It's always talking about how much money people are on a certain job.
Yep.
It's always talking on about the kind of job you're on, if it's going to come to an end or it's going to get extended.
Yep.
Or so it's kind of, you can't escape the crib hut rumours. They're always going to be there. I don't know, you just got to take them with a pinch of salt, really. Sometimes they're true, sometimes they're way off. But
yeah, right. So more or less, just don't let it get to you.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, we've heard some just right gibberish in the past, but about like, the job being extended and blah blah blah, and you think, oh, I've got another 2 months run of work, and then like next week, then it's just like, oh well, everyone's demobbing, it's all over. It's just like, oh right, cool. What did I hear the other day then? So
yeah,
that's just the way it is in the crib hut. So it's a lot of shit talk, in there.
Yeah, it's sort of a nature of the industry, I suppose. Hey, like some guys, they sort of hang on to that. They hear those rumours and they get really concerned, even though they've been on 10 jobs before where the exact same thing happens and never changes.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially when a job's coming to an end. And,
yeah, that's right.
Go around of who's staying on, and who they're letting go first, and what jobs they've applied for online and what's happening. So there's a lot of that shit goes around.
Yeah, I agree. Do you do much reading at all, Michael?
No, I don't really. I should do. I struggle to find the time, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Especially working away, you just get into that little routine. You sort of get home, and so you're going to go to the gym, go and do that for an hour, and you come back, and you have a quick shower, and you know yourself, you're up then and go and get food before the trimester closes, and then you're back to the room, and then I'd usually go and make a call then to my partner, and it's pretty much time for bed, It's apart from flicking on your phone on social media, whatever. It's struggle to find time. I don't even watch TV when I'm away half time.
Yeah, right.
Enough time,
Yeah, I know what you're saying exactly. Yeah. When you're away from home, when you're feeling like in a situation where you're feeling overwhelmed or like a bit down or something, have you got any things or methods or any sort of techniques that you use to sort of cope with that sort of thing?
I guess it's just you got to go chat to your workmates if things are getting a bit sour, then try and strike up a conversation with some other guys you're working with. Everyone's doing the same boat, as in regards to missing their family or doing it tough, and just going to have a beer with some guys and just try and take your mind away from what's happening.
Yeah.
That's what I would suggest. When things are getting tough, and you may need to look to have taken a break from working away and try and find some work locally. It may be tough for some people in certain areas where they live.
Yeah. Some
people, I guess, when they're sort of stuck in the rut of working away, that's all they can kind of do. But hello?
Hey mate, sorry about that.
Yeah,
I think Instagram got hold of my phone line.
Oh God.
Yeah, so sorry, back to that. So I just asked you, so when you're feeling overwhelmed or sort of lost focus or a bit down, some things that you would recommend or things you do yourself to move forward?
I think, go talk to someone, there's always posters up on the sites I've been on of hotlines to call if you're in a spot of bother or drama, and go and have a chat with your workmates, go have a beer, just sort of, just forget about things for a little while and just see how they're getting on and just ask how they're doing, or, try some, you can just go for a walk around camp in the evening, or go to the gym, that can sort of, refresh your mind a little bit, get into a bit of a fitness regime.
Yep.
I think that would help a lot. But like I said, if it's all getting too much, then I have to just knock it on the head and work it away and think about doing something else for a little while.
Yep, right.
So you're in a better place.
Yeah, no, that's really sound advice. That's exactly what I would suggest. That's great. All right, mate. Well, that covers everything. I'd just like to thank you, man, for your time and your patience. It's been really good having a chat with you.
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah, and for those, again, who are listening, you can find Michael on Instagram, _English_Earthmover. He posts a lot of really cool different photos of different equipment that he works on, and also all over. And you said most of the photos are all your own. Is that correct, Michael?
Yeah, they're all my own, I don't generally sort of repost other photos unless it really stands out to me. It's pretty unique or unusual photo, then I thought, well, I'll repost it. But they're all my own photos across the years. I do have enough there, my own archives, and I'll just sort of keep my own account ticking over with my own photos, really. It's just the way it is, really.
Yeah, nice. Righto. Well, so check him out. Thanks for that, Michael. And if you want to find us, you can find us on iTunes, Spotify, also on YouTube and Instagram, or Facebook as well. We try to cover it all. But thanks again, mate. And we'll stay in contact, and we'll chat to you soon. Thanks again for your patience, man.
Yeah, no worries.